Great, so I'll go ahead and take it from here. So for the sake of this demo, I'll talk a little bit about how we do what we do, how it would fit into your environment, and then some of the interesting attributes that we can return back to you. So to start off, it's two simple steps. So the first step is you'll place a snippet of JavaScript on every client-side page where you want ThreatMetrix to have intelligence about. Now this will do a couple things. This will give you a direct connection with end user's device and ThreatMetrix to look to see if the device is compromised, if there's any, if it's been previously compromised, if there's any location spoofing. So this could include any proxies, VPNs, Tor exit nodes that we recognize, if there's any bot attacks, virtual machines, remote desktop tools, and types of malware. So this all happens at the point when the user renders the page, and we begin profiling the device. Now what I'll go ahead and do today for the sake of this demo is to compare and contrast against what we know to be a fraudulent user and a trusted user, really highlighting the value of this network and our ability to create these associations beyond basic device identification. So let's say it's a scenario where I'm an end user and we're on a page where we have ThreatMetrix tags placed and we've profiled the device. Now I've clicked on a promotional event and I'm on this page where I want to create an account to obtain this incentive. What I'll go ahead and do is enter, let's say, a name, an email, a phone number. It could be an account login. It could be billing address, shipping address, social security number, as well as custom attributes. So if you have any sort of unique identifier internally on your environment, how you differentiate one customer from the next, we can input that as well. Now, let's say I've entered this information and I click Create Account, or in this case, Go. So what will happen in real time is when you pass ThreatMetrix this data, we'll then match it against the data that's fed into our network from all the other participating customers in our network. And in real time, we'll return a risk assessment between -100 and 100. Now, this will fall into three high-level categories, being a pass, review, or reject. And again, this is really based upon your risk appetite within your environment. And for the sake of this demo, a 65 correlates with a pass. But where it gets really interesting are these reason codes. So these are really the why of why the score was the way it was. And these are really just the names of the rules that got tripped. So let's say, keeping with this kind of new account origination scenario, let's say it's the first time you're seeing an email address. What if we could tell you within this network, we've seen this email within the past 30 days. And along with that, from a global scope, or the scope of the entire network, we've seen that this email has been associated with positive behavior. So then what this means is you can go ahead and let that user move forward in real time without having to put any further friction on them. And for the sake of this demo, I'll move forward. But now, so what I'll go ahead and do is autofill the credentials of what we know to be a fraudulent user. And so I wish it was this easy where you see, fraudster McShifty. But what I really want to emphasize with this demo is that even though the device and the network remain the same, by just changing the account level information, how significant the results vary. So you see now, even though I'm on the same machine, let's say I take Shri's email and enter it on my machine pretending to be Shri, we can actually recognize this anomaly and actually tell you in real time that, that Shri, this actually isn't Shri. So, but where it gets interesting again is we also tell you why. So this could be, a bunch of scenarios like input IP does not match true IP. What we're really saying here is we recognize there's an anomaly with the user's location. And if they're coming through a proxy and it's a known proxy in our network, we'll also provide that endpoint, IP endpoint as well. In terms of 3% of variations in a day, this is also interesting. This is our ability to recognize, as Shri mentioned, that set of connections between the device, the location, and the account level information. And by recognizing the velocity of how all these connections work together, it also allows us to look for anomalies. And what we're seeing here is 3% of variations, meaning there's probably been 3 or more emails associated with this specific machine over a period of the last day. And these are really just value-added indicators that allow our customers to decision in real time with meaningful results. Now, our product does about 6 major product releases per year, which is interesting because over the last 12 months, we've introduced this dynamic decisioning platform, which allows us to go a little bit further and do interesting things like call out to some of our pre-configured third-party providers without having to put any extra development or operational costs on your customers or in your environment specifically. We have predictive analytics. So this leverages this digital identity network, as Shri just mentioned, along with machine learning to create these dynamic variable-based rules, really for these complex scenarios where you may be penalizing the outliers. as well as a decision management or case management capability. So for our smaller customers who don't necessarily have the resources internally, we also have a complete end-to-end solution that goes beyond requests and responses and actually allows you to mitigate fraud and really act as a system of record as it pertains to fraudulent events and managing fraudulent events. So for the sake of this, thank you.
Thank you.